Brilliant hues, rocks catapult down upon us from the heavens. We're gluttons for punishment and other forms of calculated resistance. You break the mold, you bought it. Here's where we stand against the wind and inclement weather, so tired of waking up and swallowing more despair and coffee ice cream. I would offer you sanctuary, but my church is closed to white people entitled to their ignorance, but not their own set of slipshod rules. You want democracy? Okay, bend over and prepare yourself for the cavity search of your generic, hollowed out lives. We stopped making cowboys and engines around the time television became the new crack and video games taught our children to kill with no conscience. People surprised at how low this not ready for prime time administration will go, as a limbo stick draws another quavering line in the single-minded sands of time. I have run out of jokes and snide comments to make about this president. Violence and mean-spirited bullshit is never the answer, no matter how ill-equipped our country has become at dealing with the cancers eating away at our democratic hearts. There's an avalanche coming that will shake us to our sanctimonious cores. You can do your best to pretend the fall of Rome is not upon us, but now you see it, now you don't, as our empire evades questioning and slips out the back door. I'm in a racist and a black forest of do's and don'ts. My friend Jo was borrowing her lighter as I watched my childhood disappear before melting eyes. I guess that you could call that my 4th of July poem. I probably should have read it and I should have took a knee. This is for Katie Boyd. It's called Transformative. Dopey, always my favorite of the 7 dwarves. But lately I've been thinking more and more about Doc and how he took care of everyone without lifting a hammer. Katie broke all of the rules when she appeared on the scene with her dimples and diplomatic swing, pushing back on time's a fool's errand. But I signed up to be a fool, and that will be my task until all the diamonds turn back into coal. Leo, my favorite actor, until he and Kate got swept away by the Titanic. Are you a trailblazer or trail mix? I'll never forget when my dad would make me a tin roof sundae. Spanish peanuts are just something you must experience once in this lifetime. Katie always knows how to bring you back into the fold. She does it with the gentleness of a fawn and the ferocity of the most devoted Bob Dylan fan. She won't point out your missteps, but will make damn sure you know when you've you know when you've overstepped. I sometimes catch myself whistling while I work. Other times I look up only to discover I've wandered into another graveyard or Starbucks. Lovesick in the naked night, I'm quite certain the window shades are mocking me, and the mock turtles will have something to say about it. You cradled me in your heart from the very first time we met on Facebook, and the impression you make, it only deepens and becomes more transformative in scope. Some other realm. I'm not a storyteller, but if push comes to shove, I'll spin you a tale that will curl your toes. She spit out the poison, and she returned to her invisible self. No one could tell the difference when she spun off this mortal coil. Lackadaisical to the nth degree, I believe it to be my best and most irresistible quality. When the buffalo chips are down, you best learn to eat shit real good. The heat baked me into a charcoal briquette. I looked like a California raisin without the milk or cereal bowl to sink into. Sometimes I wish life would intervene and end this tyranny of hopelessness. Of course, without hopelessness, hope would be just another misnomer, like fear and nausea. Rilke is the weatherman of my soul, and if that makes no sense to you, well, I can't be expected to shape your mush into something resembling a mind. The leaves on the trees wanted me to tell you they miss you, and they wish you would reconsider your decision to stay indoors under lock and key. Some other realm where the pigeons don't aim for your head or shoulders when you're waiting for a bus or soulmate. Another realm where the lesbians will sleep with a man if the conditions are just right and all the dildos have been put back up on the shelf. Okay, Mark, I agree. Those last two lines leave a lot to be desired and are as groan-worthy as they come. When casting yourself in shadows, always keep in mind how close you are to the edge, and that plunging is not always a sign of desperation. Not even a dribble. Nothing left. Not even a dribble. Soaked in the memories of memorized restraint. It didn't last long. The determination to resist a multitude of second chances. I was tired and I was through with all those newspaper clippings. Let's start at the beginning, when words came to me like rainbows and unicorns hopped up on crystal meth. I was a rabbi and a wordsmith and a disc jockey chopping through the ether. I just want to sit on the toilet like a despoiled king or queen wearing a crooked crown, waiting for someone to pull me out of the jaws of a 5-alarm alligator. I cannot find my bootstraps, and even if I could, I don't believe my back would support this everlasting ego. Nothing right, not even a drip or a drop of pristine paint or anguished levity. Sometimes you just have to accept no one's coming, and pain is your very last defense. This poem is for Mark Steven Mannheimer, and this is a quote that he posted from one of the poems one poem I wrote and posted on Facebook, and he said this: "Sometimes I miss Charlie's bang up the face genius because I'm not expecting too much." So I wrote this poem for Mark. It's called "I Like the Groaners." I also like to read it for Christina. The very best cliches will become transmogrified beneath the stranglehold of molten lava. Despair, the high school bully I never much liked, trusted, or was attracted to. I understand. You're full of guile. I also understand Latin's no longer a dead language. Placing words on the page serves as both a palate cleanser and an aphrodisiac. I was shocked to discover there are those who are generally surprised by my genius. I believe we were on the same page before realizing our playbooks had next to nothing in common. We stared into each other's eyes like it was Cajun Mardi Gras and hungered for something more substantial than crow and light beer. The air conditioner's on echo, and not sure what good it's doing. The dog days of summer have me kneeling in front of the fan taking pug communion. No one's desired me in decades, and it takes its toll in shadowy concessions like Chicago's Skyway. Two more. End. Woke up, shat out the communication breakdowns, residing deep down in my soul. He called, we discussed Bob as a preacher and an instigator. I was reminded of when we first met and how likable he's always been. Remove the stained glass separating us from the animals we chastise when REM sleep has us on the run. Christina M. Brooks, a noble and enlightened soul, carrying the burden of light so effortlessly. I'll never look at a hotel robe the same way again. Poetry. Poetry is in each and every one of us. If we choose to run with the bulls and weather the stain of stigmata and the crucifixion of man. Some of us leave it all out on the field, while others hold back on living because we've never been all that comfortable with this throttle beneath our lightning stroke hands. The rules of the game shifted when I spied you naked as the Beatles played their last concert up there on that roof. Come down from your throne and lick me like a mother tiger licks her cubs. Sometimes I become so lonely, I'm afraid I won't recognize myself when I've come out the other end. You taught me how to live and how to give, and for that I will always be thankful and hold somewhat of a grudge. And this poem is entitled Start. No one begins with an advantage. We all start blank, ready to work or to die. I'm unleavened, basking in the desert sun. Heard your whispers when you were up and coming. Stalled out somewhere between heaven and hell. My existence, a monster truck, deplete of fuel. Out in the prison yard, always showing up fashionably late. Gruel's not much to look forward to after a grueling day of breaking rocks. Nights even more full of terror and squealing pains of reoccurring self-recrimination. I hope this poem reaches you in one piece. Circus peanuts and fruitcakes plague my Javaro blowgun childhood. I saw it advertised next to survival manifestos for the worried, sick man. Starved out on political correctness and neoliberalism for the uncommon psychopath. Wishy-washy hidden agendas, feeding word salad to the poor, impoverished flyover states. Trumpet blast kills someone on Fifth Avenue, while a baby is ripped from their mother's arms. I'd like to read actually one more. This is entitled I Am a Phoenix. The ashes of our ancestors, a guidepost past the oceans of recycled debris and restless tomorrows. I was a classless warrior until finally accepting every tilting windmill as a shot to the bow, a reminder of how close we all are to madness. Falling on your sword is noble if you understand nobility and that not every shogun is worthy of their branding. Let's go to the park after dark for another misguided attempt at date night. Because neither one of us thought to bring protection and are too lazy to hail a cab or figure out public transportation. I wanted to be so much more. As I approached 50, and yet truthfully, I've always only aspired to be an artist, and I have nailed that sucker as I drowned in the juices of my own infamy. He took the belt from his hotel robe and he hung himself. Play that moment over and over again in your head, and you too will wind up dead before room service or the maid knocks on heaven's door. I wanted to unload, or at the very least bust a nut before she got home. But I became so fixated on death, I forgot all about taking a dump or coming. Losing yourself in the latest gossip will only get you to the next newsstand. And don't forget, Newsstands are quickly becoming extinct, just like dignity and the occasional wisps of hero worship. I wanted to be my own man, and then I came upon the concrete notion of gender fluidity, and a rainbow of colors opened up before me like a Bonnie and Clyde bank vault, or Larry King's splendid suspenders. I tried to watch Celebrity Family Feud, but quickly grew bored, so I turned off the Death Ray TV, and instead I called a friend. We must break free from the societal chains we've all become too dependent upon, as we take another ill-advised chomp off of the poisonous apple and discover our true selves, naked, alone, and afraid of our own empty shadows. She was my lover, until she realized she was fucking below her station, and left me with my dick in my hand and a sketchbook full of charcoal memories of someone else's happiness. I've written all those poems since June 11th of 2018. All brand new. And I'm recording with a new mic. Thank you, Chris Loper. It's a Snowball Ice.